We're in the workshop, but we're headed to the kitchen because today we're going to talk about the fight against depression. I'm JP, the Stable Cyclist, and everything we do on this channel is looked at through the lens of mental health. And for those of you who are new, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder in 2020. Now, for those of us with bipolar disorder, depression is a fairly normal tenant in our lives through much of the year. Right now, I'm doing fairly well with it. The emphasis, of course, being on fairly. But even if you don't have bipolar, there are so many people in our world that struggle with depression on a regular basis. Now, one of the mantras that I learned early on when I started treatment for bipolar was this: activity is the enemy of depression. When a person is struggling with depression, the urge can be to just lay in bed or lay down or do nothing, because the weight of depression is so heavy. This doesn't mean the person's lazy. They literally can't do anything. But it's really important to remember the mantra: activity is the enemy of depression. So get up, do something, anything, just get moving. Today's episode is part of a series on this channel called Guardrails and Signposts, where we dive extra deep into certain topics. Now, guardrails are usually talking about mania management, but the fight against depression would definitely fit in the signpost category. Signposts are markings that help us know the way. And in this case, they're reminders of how to move through times when we have depression. And I've already mentioned our first signpost today: activity is the enemy of depression. Now, this is your weekly reminder that I'm not a doctor, and these stories are just experiences from my own life. If you need real help, you need to go get real help. Having a plan of what tomorrow may look like has really helped me get going on those days when I feel terrible. So I make a list every single night of a few things that I need to do tomorrow. And the number one thing every day on that list: wake up. The number two thing: get out of bed. This way, by the time I get out of bed, I've already got two things crossed out on my list. And I feel like I'm getting something accomplished for the day, even if I feel terrible. Some days it's really hard to get much of anything crossed off that list, but I just make sure that I keep moving forward. And I hardly ever sleep in anymore, because the longer I lay in bed, the harder it is to get out of bed and get moving and get my day started. But besides making lists every day, besides not sleeping in anymore, besides trying to exercise regularly, the main thing I try to do every single day is work with my hands in some capacity. Sometimes it's sharpening the chainsaw or playing Legos with my kids, but more often than not, it's working right here in the workshop on my bikes. Today is chain waxing day, and it is an activity as tedious and laborious as it sounds. And a lot of people like to use chain lube on their chain, like oil, and that's fine, you do you. But I like the cleanliness and I like the efficiency of waxing my chain. So every 800 miles, I dedicate a night to what we're doing right now. I use a Silca Secret Chain Blend hot melt wax. I really like it. And some people will take this and dump it right into an Instapot to melt it down, but the bag doesn't melt, and I don't have an Instapot, so I just do it here on the stove. Now, if this is the first time that you're waxing a chain, the process is a lot different. And I linked a video in the description down below of Silca owner Josh Portner explaining in his soothing voice all the steps that are needed. Because we've done this a bunch of times already, the process is a lot simpler, and all we got to do is pull it off the bike, which we've already done, and then once this melts, we just dunk it in there. The thing is, you don't need to work on a bicycle to work with your hands. There are all kinds of things in your house, in your day-to-day, that you can do to get yourself moving. You could fold your laundry,
or you could wash the dishes. Cooking for fun or even preparing tomorrow's meals the night before are really healthy behaviors. Some people like to play musical instruments or even clean their house. Not quite ready yet. The best kind of activities to do with our hands and to fight against depression are the ones that we actually find enjoyment in and the things we look forward to. That's why I include working on my bike a couple days a week, because I look forward to working on my bike and my other bikes, and also because I really enjoy it. It's finally ready, so we're going to drop the chain in. We'll pull the heat from it, or we'll pull it off the heat, I should say, and then we'll let it sit until it starts to refirm a little bit, and then we'll pull the chain out and it'll be all done. If you are struggling with depression, first of all, most importantly, you need to seek help. Talk to your family, talk to a friend, talk to your doctor. But then you need to force yourself to be active. Find things to do, things that make you active, things that put your mind to work, things that get you out of bed. Setting small movement goals throughout your day can really help pull you out of the bottomless pit. And I know it sounds crazy, but I've been there. I've been that depressed. And having things that'll get me out of bed and get me moving throughout my day after day, are the things that ultimately help everything else do their job and pull me back towards the light. The reality is the meds, the counseling, exercise, movement goals, they're all just tools. And you can't rely on just one of them. Because your toolbox is useless if you need a hammer and you don't actually have one. I've learned that I have to put in the work every single day, especially if I'm struggling with depression. It doesn't mean that the board resets to 0 and I feel like 1,000% again. It just means that I start to feel better day after day. If you're struggling with depression, you can put the work in too. But start with something simple. Start with something easy like getting out of bed or brushing your teeth, and then check it off the list. Activity is the enemy of depression. So take a gamble on yourself and start to move yourself out of the pit, because that is a gamble worth taking in life. Because you are valuable and you are loved and you are worth whatever it will take to get you out of this pit of depression. Thanks for hanging out here today. We meet here each week to talk about mental health and bikes. And if you don't want to miss the next time we get together, be sure to hit the subscribe button. And if you loved the content today, be sure to hit the like button as well. Finally, most importantly, remember to reach out to those around you and remind them that they are loved. I'm JP, the Stable Cyclist. Thanks for hanging out this week, and we'll see you next time.